Alright, hello, greetings, this is Clarence. I just needed to bang out this video, like, really quick because I feel like I've been trying to think about this idea for, like, the longest time and, like, I don't know. Um, it's stupid, honestly. I need to, like, get this done, so, productivity for the win. Let's go. Alright, so I wanted to talk about, like, what is like conceptually, like how do you become creative, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I feel like there's too many like woo sort of ways about like, oh yeah, you gotta like, gotta feel it inside, you know what I mean? Or like, I don't know, like gotta like get away all this like ickiness, like try to, I don't know, just like a lot of like woo kind of like happiness, kind of like spirituality kind of stuff. But like, I don't know, I feel like there's a way of sort of like manufacturing creativity, as long as dirty as that word sounds in terms of like creativity. But like, I feel like there's actually like actionable advice in which like we can use to help ourselves, right? So I don't know. So here I have the base outline for like how me, Clarence, view creativity. Okay. So what I want to like. Okay. First, okay. Let's focus. All right. So actually, I want to focus on this ring here. Okay. So generally, I want to say that like there's generally like only three ways in which you can actually like sort of harness creativity, right? Like there are like three actions or like three states of being in which you can actually get an idea in which that is creative. You know what I mean? So the first idea, right, which I'll note here, is consumption. So consumption here, like when that comes from the very top, it just means sort of like this idea of, like when you go through a social media feed and you find something that you like, you bookmark it because you think it's amazing. So like, that's a form of consumption. Or going to a trip and you're like, oh wow, I really like manta rays. Manta rays are so cool. Now it's my vibe, it's my like thing. And so it just sort of like the world around you, right? You want to take and grab things. And it's like, oh yeah, this is what I like, and this is what I'm going to incorporate into my artwork. That's like where creativity comes. It's like boom, idea, and then like it kind of influences like another set of ideas, right? So I don't know. I think like even like philosophy or like revolutions, ideas can start and like that can like inspire lots of ideas, right? So I think that's what consumption is. I'd advise like not over consuming social media. I rather say like, oh, consume things in which that are higher quality, such as like movies or things that are like more like well put together, right? So that's what I advise. So and then the second form of like this creativity framework is subconscious. All right, so Jesus. So the second form of creativity is the subconscious. So for me, like this took me a long time to like figure. This took me a long time to figure out like, oh, what does like how does sleeping or like going to take a shower thoughts or like driving in the car and you get an idea, or like washing dishes, or like what's called like creatives going on walks, like what is the purpose of that? Like how does that actually like encourage creativity, right? And so in my head I'm like, oh, what's the thing that like binds them all is the subconscious, right? It's like when you sleep you actually like formulate ideas. When you daydream, right, you're like not actually focusing on the idea itself. It's more like things that are just kind of like clicking into place without you noticing, and then like when it happens it's like boom, eureka, right? So that's what I think. So that's which all. So far we have consumption and we have subconscious. They kind of feed into each other in a sense. So I don't know, like what you'll notice about like this ring in some sense is that they kind of like feed on each other. So yeah. And then the last of them is frick. If I had a word for this is like produce. I don't know if there's like another cooler word or something like that, but like so far I have like produce. And so this kind of like harkens back into the idea of War of Art, in which I don't know what's the name of the author. Steven Pressfield? I think that's his name. Yeah, Steven Pressfield talks about like becoming pro, or like yeah. It's essentially like the idea of every day you sort of create, you know, like if you're an artist, you draw, if you're a writer, you write. Like regardless of the activity, you got to create every single day. You know what I mean? It's just, and the reason for that is because like if you're not creating, I feel like you are wasting the opportunity for you to actually test the muscle of being creative, right? Like I've tried this like literally like for like 5 months, you know, last year from February all the way until like 5 months from then. I don't know numbers. Um, put it on screen. Um, like it actually forces you to like always like continuously like think about like, oh, what's the thing I want to create? What's the thing I'm gonna create? You know, and it like pounds you. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I gotta get this done today, right? And that sort of like sparks creativity. Like you're trying to like you're in a kind of like mental state of like trying to put things together. You're active, like this is the active sort of way of creativity, right? Of like trying to like bring ideas together. You know, you're trying really hard, right? Like trying to put ideas together, and so that's why I think in which creativity kind of happens. You know what I mean? Is that there's different approaches to creativity, right? So like what's called consumption is the fun way of creativity because that's like intaking in new experiences. What you call subconscious is sort of like the processing of information, but from a very passive way, right? And then producer production sort of creativity is sort of the sense of what you call like forcing your creativity, right? So this is so I don't know. This is how I see it, is that like, oh, this is the fun way of creativity. This is the passive, and this is the forceful way, right? So I think those are the only ways of avenues of like sort of like where creativity kind of derives from. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. People say like, oh, you're going to go travel or eat mangoes or like I don't know, talk with a friend. But like I think you can categorize them or either blend them together in a sense in which they kind of like induce more creativity. You know what I mean? It's not like specific tasks give you these things. You know, like walking through the forest. Like I don't know, you can walk in a neighborhood and like still get like something of a similar effect, right? So yeah. And you're like, oh man, the video's done, right? But like I feel like there's actually more to this sort of like ways in which you can produce creativity, right? There's this idea, right? I'm not sure if you heard of it, but I mean like if you're really interested in the idea of like, I don't know, freaking like productivity or being an artist, such as I am. Place. So, along with these sort of ideas, right, is that in between all of them, you have the commonplace, right? So the commonplace, I'm not sure if you heard of it. Well, I'll explain. It's sort of like a place. No, it's like notes, right? So like Leonardo da Vinci, right? Like Renaissance man, amazing artist, right? We'll all agree, obviously. I forgot even what he made. Is it Mona Lisa? I don't know. Someone's kind of like stab me to death. But like a commonplace is like if you took all the art you loved, right? Like I don't know, movies you loved, freaking images you thought were amazing, music you thought were like was inspiring, audiobooks and like poems you loved and stuff like that, and you like just like cram them all together, right? And then like then you have like a treasure trove of like everything you've ever loved, right? All in one place, right? Like yeah. And like that is just like the source of inspiration. But like I think you could instead of like taking everything you've ever loved, right, and just putting it in one place, I think you can take what's called the ideas you had, you know, like the kind of like if you had like a beat in your head and you're like, oh man, I gotta write that down, you know, or like a lyric that or no, like a joke that you thought was funny, right, that no one else has made, right, just an observation you made, like you can just like all put it in just one place, right, and then even like the things you produce, right, like say like for me when I was like producing art, right, like for 5 months, right, I would actually like keep it in my like Discord and just have like a separate channel for those, right? And like that kind of inspired me to make other things, right? So I think in culmination of where ideas are produced, right, you actually like put them all together, so you have like this very like thick marinade of just ideas, you know, just like swarming all together, you know. Like it can be messy, obviously, like like me, like I just have my message, just like have them there, and just have like broad categories in which you kind of like have those ideas, right? But yeah, so I think that's very useful to have. If you want, you can just like look up like what are the common places. There's probably like 10 or more videos about the topic, but yeah. And then here's the last thing in which I thought was like really cool, right? I think we actually have to go search this up. I'm gonna have to and come back. Can I do it before the video ends? So the very last idea, right, that I have, right, is the sun right here, you know. This says attitude and openness, you know. I was watching this one video. It was called John Cheese on Creativity and Management. Focus. No! Don't end. Hello, greetings. My camera died. This is what you guys were watching on, so that's amazing. Anyways, to continue off as I was saying, like, so I don't know, I think I like this better than my camera, which is sad, because I bought $300 for this. But I don't know, I think it's cool if you can like use the freaking, what's it called? Focus ring, yeah. Let me close the lens of this. But yeah, so yeah, as I was like showing you like the video on the sort of my phone, right, the one that you guys are on, right, is like saying that creativity, like, although we have like all these different avenues in which we can sort of like collect these ideas, right, I think what is a very like big influence as well as these avenues of like capturing these things is like literally our attitude of like how we are, right? So in the video that I was like showing you like by John Cheese, it was, I don't know, just correct me. It's like literally the difference, like, so like when you're in like a funeral, right, you don't want to make a joke, right? Everything's serious, right? You do not want to like, I don't know, like make people laugh. It's supposed to be a sad time, right? I mean, like, I don't know, if your family is kind of like the jokester and like, I don't know, the person who died was a jokester, then like, I don't know, good spirits, right? Like, that's how I see it as, yeah. But yeah, like a funeral, like you don't want to make anyone laugh, right? Like that's just kind of like rude, you can say, or like distasteful, you could say. Like you would never want to do that, right? And so that kind of like hinders your creativity, right? It's like, okay, think bad thoughts, think sad, you know, think sad, right? Like that's how these sort of approaches, or like even being in like what's called like work, right, is that like they ask you to be a certain way, to have like a certain style of professionalism, right? But like when you are in that sort of state of like being like closed-mindedness and like, I don't know, you can only do this and like you think a certain way, right, like you're very narrow-minded, like you're thinking that, is that you're not open to your creativity, right? And so the reason why I say like attitudes and sort of openness is that like this is why people talk about like being like your inner child, right? To have like this kind of like unlimited sort of access to ideas, you know, having ideas in which like, I don't know, seem silly or they're funny or they don't make sense together, but then like you like them the way that it is, and like that is sort of the way in which openness and attitude kind of work together. So yeah, this is my framework, right? Yeah. Was sort of like inspired by Dan Coe as well as Sam Ovens, right? To like create this sort of cycle, yeah. Well, I can't say personally like, I don't know, I'm creative, right? This is the things that I've like noticed in which like what I believe the model of creativity is, right? Yeah. I guess you can even say like negative thoughts as well as like fears and anxieties and stuff like that. That kind of like gets in the way of that sun, right? I think, even yeah. I even just thought of it just right now. So it's like, I don't know, you have like clouds, right? That can like block your sort of like creativity, right? That's like the mental block, so fears and anxieties. Tease. this is the model, I'd say. You know, so like, if you want to be, I guess, like, be more creative, like, per se sense, right? Like, what you want to do is just like erase these, right? Just take them out of the picture, and then you're just like left with like good moods, you know. I feel like God. All right. Oh shoot, it's really night. Frick! I gotta take my medicine. Cringe. All right. I'll get to it, but very quickly, I just want to say like, yeah. So I don't know. I feel like there's this like myth before, like saying that like, oh, if you're like a tortured artist, right? You know, like you gotta romanticize, like, ooh, this is really deep. You know, like, oh, my suffering, oh, my loneliness. You know, ooh, my trauma, my. I gotta vent my art, you know, vent into my art, you know, oh, he broke up with me, oh, you know what I mean? Like, it's, maybe that's not where creativity comes from, you know? Like, I think that you can take something that's, like, very, like, strong, very potent, right? Like, in a sense of, like, love or lost, right? And, like, infuse into your art. Like, that can be amazing, right? But I don't necessarily think that's how creativity sort of makes his way in there, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. But I guess that's like advice from an uncreative person, because I feel like I'm uncreative right now, but like I think to some degree that's like just me sort of like blocked internally by sort of what you call like school. It's like telling me like, oh, like I don't know, I can't do this, because I'm so busy right now. I'm only like producing for works that I don't want to do, you know. But yeah, I don't know. Well, anyways, that's all. Take a screenshot, make a cool graphic. I don't know. I just needed to burst out this video really quick. So, deuces. Yeah, this is Clarence signing out. And I hope you like this video. If not, this is gonna be the first of a few videos in which no one's gonna like this video, and is gonna be amazing. So yeah, I want to remake this video, but this is amazing. So yeah.